Welcome to Thammasara Academy. Today, we are analyzing Piper longum, Pippali, a botanical defined by its consistent departures from Ayurvedic pharmacological norms. Mastery of Dravyaguna Vijnana requires moving past memorized tables. You have to understand specific systemic exceptions, or Apavada, to accurately predict how a drug will interact with the body's tissues. This brings us to the core contradiction of Pippali. It is categorized as kaku, pungent, typically used to incinerate toxins. Yet classical texts classify it as a rejuvenating rasayana. Pungent herbs are inherently catabolic, depleting tissue over time. A pungent rejuvenator breaks foundational logic. To understand why, we will decode Pippali's specific Rasa Panchaka profile and its high-yield clinical applications for the AIAPGET. Recognizing these anomalies is what distinguishes a basic grasp of the material from a nuanced understanding of systemic pharmacodynamics. Consider the standard pathway of a Katu drug. It begins with a pungent taste, expressing dry and light qualities. This leads to a Katu Vipaka, a pungent post-digestive effect that eventually depletes tissue. Pippali branches off from this baseline, bypassing expected stages entirely. This is reflected in the NCISM syllabus. Row 8 mandates the study of the interrelation of Rasa, Guna, Veerya, Vipaka, and Prabhava, specifically to identify these metabolic deviations. AIAPGET assertion reasoning questions frequently target this specific conceptual gap, testing whether you understand the rule or its exceptions. In clinical practice, these exceptions provide the necessary precision for managing complex pathologies that do not follow standard patterns. We begin with the physical identification. This is Piper longum, a member of the Piperaceae family. The useful part, or prayogyanga, is the phala, the fruit. It is characterized by this cylindrical, spike-like syncarp structure. This physical structure is the source of the classical synonym kana, which refers to its granular, seeded appearance. The synonym Krishna describes the dark grayish-black color the fruit assumes once it has been dried. It is also called Magadhi, referencing its primary geographical origin in ancient India. Within classical taxonomy, Sushruta places this herb at the head of the Pippaliyadi Gana. The primary function of this group is Shleshma Shamana, the systematic pacification of kapha dosha. While these macroscopic traits aid in identification, the plant's clinical utility is driven by its unique internal pharmacodynamics. If we map the metabolism of Pippali, the initial rasa on the tongue is strictly katu, or pungent. Here is the first departure. Instead of being dry and light, its guna is snigdha and guru, unctuous and heavy. This is an unusual combination that it shares with rasona, or garlic, another heavy, unctuous herb that remains pungent. The Veerya, or potency, is also a deviation. It is not aggressively hot, it is mridushita, or mildly cooling. This milder potency allows for sustained clinical use without the risk of severe pitta aggravation. Finally, it reaches a madhura vipaka, a sweet post-digestive effect. Because the sweet effect is anabolic, the drug nourishes and repairs tissues rather than consuming them. This contrasts sharply with mericha, or black pepper, which remains pungent and catabolic throughout its entire metabolic cycle. This specific matrix, pungent entry, unctuous body, and sweet exit, is what enables its dual action profile. This metabolic profile makes Pippali a primary kapha vatahara agent, capable of pacifying both doshas simultaneously. It acts as a powerful dipana and pachana. It kindles digestive fire, but its unctuous quality prevents the dry aggravation of value. Clinically, these properties make it a first-line treatment for respiratory conditions like shwasa and kasa, asthma and cough. The mechanism works in two stages. First, the katu taste actively cuts through and liquefies stagnant mucus in the airways. Immediately following that clearance, the snigdha and madhura properties soothe the bronchial lining, preventing further spasms. This action regulates pranavayu at the source, addressing the underlying neurological trigger for the cough reflex. This anabolic footprint is why it is a rasayana. It repairs tissue damage caused by chronic inflammation and disease. Pippali targets the immediate obstruction of thick mucus, while simultaneously rehabilitating the long-term health of the entire respiratory environment. We conclude with high-yield data points for the AIAPGET regarding its specific contraindications. Note this frequent trap question. Pippali is explicitly absent from the toxicology formulation Dravyaguna. You must also account for Charaka's warning regarding the unmitigated use of long pepper. High-dose consumption without specific processing leads to a rapid accumulation of internal heat and severe systemic dosha aggravation. The classical solution is the Vardhamana Pippali Rasayana protocol, a titration schedule designed to safely deliver the drug's benefits. Pippali functions through a precise intersection of aggressive metabolic heat and sustained tissue repair. In Dravyaguna, understanding the departures from the rule is the key to clinical efficacy. Subscribe to Tamasara Academy for more high-yield insights.